The applause was deafening. Flashing cameras, champagne glasses clinking, proud families crowding the university hall, all celebrating her. My wife stood at the center of it all, smiling in her crimson doctoral robe, her cap slightly tilted, the glow of achievement lighting up her face. I was proud of her. God, I was so proud. I'd watched her work through sleepless nights, supported her through every breakdown, carried the weight of our lives while she chased her dream. But I never imagined that same dream would be the reason she'd destroy me. When she found me in the crowd, her eyes softened for a brief second. She walked over with that same poised grace I'd fallen in love with and handed me an envelope, perfectly folded, her name typed neatly across the front. I smiled, thinking it was one of those thank you letters universities sometimes give to spouses. But the moment I opened it, my smile froze. Petition for dissolution of marriage. I felt the words before I could read them. The air left my lungs. The noise of the celebration faded into a low, distorted hum. My throat went dry as I looked up at her, searching for some explanation, anything. She didn't look angry or guilty, just calm, almost peaceful. She placed a gentle hand on my arm and said, quietly, "We'll talk later. Please don't make a scene." It took everything in me not to crumble right there. I nodded, numb, watching her turn back to her colleagues, laughing, hugging, drinking champagne like nothing had happened. Like the last 8 years meant nothing. Later came hours after the guests had gone, after the lights dimmed, and the echo of celebration faded from our house. She was sitting at the kitchen table, out of her graduation gown now, in jeans and a white shirt, sipping wine. I stood in the doorway, still holding that cursed envelope. Was this really necessary? I asked. My voice sounded foreign, too steady for the chaos in my chest. She sighed, setting her glass down. "You knew this was coming, David." "Did I?" I asked. Because I must have missed the part where my wife started planning a divorce while I was working overtime to pay for her tuition. Her jaw tightened. "That's not fair." "No," I said, taking a step closer. "What's not fair is being blindsided at your graduation party." She looked at me, eyes tired. I didn't want to ruin the night. I laughed bitterly. "Oh, you didn't want to ruin your night, you mean?" Her silence confirmed it. I wanted to yell, to demand answers, but there was something in her expression, cold resolve mixed with faint regret, that stopped me. Instead, I just asked, "Why?" She looked down at the table, tracing the rim of her wine glass. "Because I'm not the same person anymore, David. I've changed. I've grown. And somewhere along the way, we stopped fitting." Her words were measured, rehearsed, like she'd said them to herself 100 times before. "Stopped fitting," I repeated, almost laughing. "You make it sound like a pair of old shoes." She flinched, but only slightly. "Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." I stared at her, waiting for something real, something human, an apology, a tear, a tremor in her voice. But all I saw was distance. The same woman who once cried into my chest after failing her first research proposal now sat across from me like I was an inconvenience. That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed every late night she spent studying with her advisor, every time she brushed off my calls saying she was too busy. I'd believed her because I trusted her. Because I was stupid enough to think love and loyalty were the same thing. The next morning, I checked her laptop. I knew it was wrong, but my hands moved before I could think. Her password hadn't changed. Small mercies. I opened her emails, and within minutes, I found what I feared. Dozens of messages. Late-night conversations. Photos. The kind that left no room for misunderstanding. Her advisor, Dr. Matthew Cross. Married. With 2 kids. My stomach turned as I read their words. "You make me feel alive again. I can't wait until tonight. He doesn't understand you like I do." My wife, writing those words. My wife, confessing her love to another man while I was home making her dinner. I didn't confront her right away. I couldn't. The betrayal was too big, too suffocating. I wanted to see her lie to my face one more time. To give her the chance to hang herself with her own words. That evening, I sat across from her at dinner. She talked about the future, about moving out amicably, dividing assets, how she didn't want lawyers to make things messy. I let her speak, nodding slowly, my hands trembling under the table. Then I said, "How's Dr. Cross?" The fork froze halfway to her mouth. Her eyes darted up, wide and terrified. For the first time, her mask cracked. "What did you say?" I leaned back, watching her struggle to breathe. "You heard me. How's your advisor? Or should I say your boyfriend?" She set her fork down, fingers shaking. "David, Save it," I said sharply. "I read the emails. I saw the pictures. Tell me, did he at least congratulate you before or after you served me the divorce papers?" Her eyes filled with tears. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I laughed, bitter and hollow. "Oh, so there was a plan. Tell me, did you two rehearse your betrayal too?" She covered her face, sobbing quietly. I wanted to feel satisfaction, but all I felt was emptiness. Years of love, gone. Trust, shattered. I'd built my life around her, and now it was rubble. Finally, she looked up, eyes red. "He said he'd leave his wife. He said we could start over." I stared at her, disgusted and heartbroken. "And you believed him?" She nodded weakly. "I wanted to." That was the moment I realized she wasn't the same woman I married. The woman I loved would never have looked at me with pity while admitting to an affair. She'd become someone else, someone I couldn't recognize. I stood, grabbed my coat, and walked out. She didn't stop me, didn't beg, didn't chase. Just sat there, small and broken in the kitchen we once built together. Days passed in a blur. I filed my response to the divorce. Quietly. No scenes, no fights. I packed her things, left them by the door. She came to collect them one afternoon while I was at work. When I came home, the house was hollow, stripped of her scent, her laughter, her warmth. But on the kitchen table, she'd left one thing behind, a small framed photo of us from her first semester. On the back, in her handwriting, were 3 words, "You deserved more." Months later, I saw a university newsletter online. Dr. Cross had resigned. "Ethical violations," it said. "Anonymous complaint." I didn't file it. Maybe she did. Maybe karma did. Sometimes, I still dream of that graduation night, the applause, the pride, the moment her hand brushed mine as she gave me those papers. I wake up every time before she turns away. And for a brief second, before the reality floods back, I still believe she's the woman I once knew.